I am a bit confused today, and I'll tell you why. Well, this was Delhi's home game, but it was played in Vizag. It was Delhi's home game, but the entire crowd was yellow. It was Delhi's home game, which they won, but the crowd was happy because they got to see Dhoni. So, all in all, even though Chennai lost this game, the crowd's gone back happy, Delhi's gone back happy, everybody is happy. So, just coming to the Super Sunday, we've had two games today, and we will come back to this game between the Delhi Capitals and Chennai Super Kings. But before that, there was match number 12 on the Super Sunday, which was between GT and SRH. The trend continues. GT winning at home, comfortably winning at home against a very strong SRH side. Now, looking at that scorecard, don't be surprised because yes, it was SRH who put on 277 in their last game. And turns out in this one, they could only manage 162 for 8. When you see a scorecard of 162 for 8, and the top scorer of that innings is only 29, it's a bit strange because that doesn't happen very often. But in reply, GT getting those runs in the 20th over. Don't let that scorecard fool you again. That 19-point run over run chase, they were always comfortable. It was always within reach. And in the end, even though it looks like a small margin of victory, it was a very comfortable one. Sarvesh, first thoughts on GT versus HRH?
Uh, so you rightly said, highest score of 29 is never good, and that scorecard it looks four 20s, but none of them could actually go on and build that into a huge score. I think that tells you why they could score only 162 runs. And I think in T20s we always talk about getting your top two or three, setting that tone for you, and then the rest can actually follow and finish the game. So that did not happen. I think Mayank Agarwal, I think he's once again. I think we talked about him, and he hasn't been scoring runs today. Again, he just scored at about run the ball. But I think even despite that, I felt sixth over was bowled by Rashid Khan, and they actually scored 15 runs of that over. So I felt they had it in control, Hyderabad. After 6 overs, they were about 56 per 1. But then it's not just Rashid, it's Rashid's countryman, Noor. So when he came on, I think they gave away only about somewhere around 4 and 5. So about 18 runs in next 4 overs. So I think that sort of derailed that entire innings, and they lost wicket in that phase as well. So I think Rashid and Noor, these they bowled excellently in those 7 to 10 over phase, and I think that set the tone. And from there, SRH could never get that kick on from there. So I think that was the crucial phase, and then like the scorecard says, they could score only 162.
You're absolutely right. I mean, in that last game, we saw three of their top order batters getting 50 of close to almost 18 balls, 19 balls, 20 balls. And that's the difference between that score and this score is that everybody getting starts. You look down that scoreboard, you got 19 from Travis Head, 16 from Mayank Agarwal, 29 from Abhishek Sharma, 17 from Aidan Markram, 24. Shahbaz getting 22, Abdul Samad getting 29. So everybody's got a start, but nobody's kicked on to make that big score, which makes the difference in a game like this.
And we saw sixes raining in last game, but here you'll see only how many six sixes in this entire innings. In last match, they scored about 18, I think somewhere around 17 or 18 sixes. Now only 6, I think.
We had 38 across both the teams. So, yeah.
That was a difference maker, I think.
Yeah. Just a quick one on that batting card once again. If we go back to it, we spoke of Mayank Agarwal. And we said Travis Head and Abhishek Sharma kind of had got them back on track after that sixth over, which they hit a couple of sixes in. Abhishek Sharma in particular came down the track, hitting Rashid Khan for a couple of sixes. But then when Aidan Markram came in, and as you rightly pointed out, Noor Ahmed comes in and really puts on the brakes. He's just picked up the wicket of Travis Head, and then he puts on the brakes on the scoring. So Markram struggles. As you can see, 17 of 19. That's not a typical Aidan Markram innings. Klassen comes in, gets going, but then he gets out as well. So, he doesn't carry on. And then it's always difficult for the ones following it back
Yeah.
in the later order to kind of start going from ball one
Yeah.
when the momentum isn't with them. Um, any surprises there for you in the fact that we saw Shahbaz Ahmed come ahead of Abdul Samad, and we
Actually,
know there are
yeah,
matchups and
yeah.
everything that we talk about. But when Abdul Samad actually came in and he gave that finishing kick to that innings, you just got the feeling, hang on, he is the designated batter. Shahbaz is your all-rounder who gives you crucial runs at the end of an innings. But you just got the feeling that if Abdul Samad had kind of come ahead of Shahbaz, maybe we could have had a bit more to show for their efforts in those 20 overs.
Yes, but I think we are seeing this kind of a trend where teams are looking to reserve their hitters for over number 17 and onwards. So I think that was the plan. They felt that they should keep Abdul Samad reserved for last 4 5 overs. And I think that's what they did. And I think he gave them that finishing touch. But probably had they sent him up and had they lost him early, then they probably would have struggled to get 162 as well. So I think that is the thinking, and we have seen a lot of teams doing this. We have seen over the years, we have seen Mumbai Indians keeping Kyran Pollard for last 3 4 years only. He has been playing 15, 16 balls, and he has been doing that. He had been doing that damage. So I think Abdul Samad has been given that kind of a role where he'll play only in last 4 5 overs. Something what we see with RCB doing with Dinesh Karthik. But I think you rightly pointed out that I think in my opinion Abdul Samad is capable of doing a lot more damage. He could actually he has that potential to bat higher up. So I think maybe in next few games they should look at this.
The other thing that I also wanted to point out there was Washington Sundar's played for India.
Yeah.
You bought him in as your impact sub, I think, at the end of the innings. And you replaced him with Mayank Agarwal,
Yeah.
was made to sit out. If that was always the plan, Sundar has had great finishes for India as well when he's played for India. He's got that batting capability. He used to bat up the order for his state side. You just think you'd make that move a bit earlier.
Yeah.
Again, if you wanted a left-hander for a left-hander to see Shahbaz coming in ahead of Washington Sundar also kind of doesn't make a lot of sense,
Yeah.
and probably something for the Sunrisers to think about in that next game when they do play.
I don't think they planned it this way, because if you see this bowling card, uh, not here. I'll take us to the second innings. I don't.
Yeah.
We haven't seen Washington Sundar finish his 4 overs. I think they had David Miller, Sai Sudarshan, these guys batting for the most of the innings. So I felt and I'm not sure if they had Washington Sundar in their plans. I hope they had him, but I think then it's a tactical error. But I think him not finishing his full quota of overs when there were two left-handers batting for for a good part of that innings. I think somewhere I felt tactically it was a mistake.
That's fair enough. If we go back to GT's bowling analysis, as we can see, no surprises there. Omar Zai continues to open the bowling for them. Umesh Yadav, the old warhorse, continuing to toil and doing his job there as well. Those 8 overs between Rashid Khan and Noor Ahmed, as we pointed out, just going for about 65 between them,
Yeah.
picking up 2 wickets. That's about 8 runs and over in the middle of an innings. And don't forget, Rashid actually bowled in the power play,
Yeah.
which got taken for a lot of
15
runs. So he
runs, yeah.
actually made a strong comeback
Yeah, he
in the
then
remaining of his
gave
three
away only
overs.
in 18 runs in the next 3 overs. Yeah.
But the pick of the bowlers and continuing to impress, even at this stage of his career, is Mohit Sharma. 4 overs, 25 runs, 3 wickets. Sarvesh, I have to ask you this. What does he do? I mean, how does he do it game after game? And he bowls all the difficult overs. He bowls at the death of an innings when batters are going hammer and tongs at him, and just continues to impress, continues to fox them with his deliveries and pick up wickets. What's his secret?
So he has been doing this from last season, and I think that's the role they have given him. And we know what he's going to do. When you see Harshal Patel, when you see Mohit Sharma, you know what they are going to do. They are going to bowl those slower ones. But still, batsmen with in Mohit Sharma's case, I mean, batters are not able to figure him out. So I think something is working for him. His slow one is difficult to pick. Sometimes those slower bouncers as well. I think he has that special ability where he completely disguises. I mean, we have seen this happen in that game against Mumbai Indians as well. The big hitters like Tim David were not able to hit him. So I think he has sorted that out. In his mind, he knows what he needs to do. And I think, barring that final game against CSK last year, I think he has been phenomenal for now more than one season now. I think I'll go a step further. I would say that maybe we'll see Mohit Sharma in that World Cup squad's contention. Who knows?
Wouldn't that be a story in itself? Mohit
Yeah,
Sharma, at the prime age of whatever, comes into the Indian side for a World Cup. And don't get me wrong, we've seen that before. We've seen
yeah,
Dinesh Karthik make a comeback,
yeah,
after a stellar IPL and get into the World Cup team. So nothing should be put past anyone.
yeah.
Interesting with Darshan Nalkande there, right at the end, being used as a death bowler
Yeah.
by GT. So that's something that's out of the bag as well for them.
So they have used. I think they used him last season as well, and I think I'm glad that he is back in the contention because he can bowl those difficult overs. He can also bowl in the middle phase of an innings, and the bowlers that they have, Umesh Yadav is not going to be very effective at the back end. We have seen Azmatullah going for plenty in World Cup when he was bowling those death overs. Rashid Khan will be probably done by over number 16. So you don't have that second death overs bowler. So I think this is a very good ploy. I think Darshan Nalkande he's promising again. From that coming from that Vidarbha factory that we are seeing the products their products are now becoming more and more familiar. So I think he's one guy. I think they should persist with him, and I think they should look to groom somebody to bowl those difficult overs. I think he could be that guy.
Yeah, and it makes sense because we see that Umesh Yadav is not the
Yeah,
same bowler that he is
yeah,
at the death of an innings,
yeah.
like in the beginning. So all in all, a good performance there by Gujarat Titans with the ball and with the bat. Now we spoke about this previously. We said in the 2 years that they had all that success, they had a template. Vridhiman Saha going hammer and tongs at the top of the order. Shubman Gill providing the solid base foundation for the innings, and then David Miller and Rahul Tewatia coming and finishing the innings. This is kind of very similar to that because as you can see, Saha with 25 of 13, setting the template, going aggressive in the power play. Shubman Gill taking his time, 36 of 28, is it? Yep. And then Sai Sudarshan carrying on from where Shubman Gill leaves off, 45 of 36. Miller finishing with 44 of 27, giving that finishing kick that you need. And GT are back.
Yeah.
They are back to that old template of theirs. And if they can carry this on, very, 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 very good and comfortable signs for them.
So I was when Riddhiman Saha got out, I felt they needed somebody to up the ante, but Shubman Gill had to do that job because Sai Sudarshan, as we know, he's uh, not going to get quick runs at the start of the innings. Once he gets going, once he's settled, we have seen what he can do. So I think that initial phase, I think Shubman Gill had to take those additional risks, and I think that's where he lost that wicket. Probably in a run chase, in a normal run chase, about 160 or 170 runs. I think we have seen Shubman Gill batting through, and he takes his time at the beginning, and then he gets settled, and then he accelerates at the end. So I think that's the typical Shubman Gill pattern. But today we could not see because he had to take that additional risk because Sai Sudarshan was going at just about run a ball. So I think he had to sacrifice his wicket. I think he's captain now, so he understands it's a lot better. And I think once he was gone, I felt they did the right thing by promoting David Miller because we have seen teams preferring to go with that left hand right hand combination. But I'm glad that SRH they have one off spinner in that they had one off spinner in that lineup. So despite that, they persisted with that strategy. They kept two left handers, and I think David Muller was the one who took off that pressure from Sai Sudarshan's shoulder because I think David Muller once he started going after the bowlers, I think their life became a lot easier. We even saw that Sai Sudarshan was finding it bit easier when David Muller got going. So I think that was the push that they needed, and that David Muller batting at number 4 makes a lot of sense for them. And then I felt they could have probably trusted Rahul Tewatia at number 5, but they sent Vijay Shankar up. I'm not sure because Rahul Tewatia could have finished this game early. It wouldn't have gone to over number 20. But because we all know what Rahul Tewatia can do, and you want your finishers to bat in games like this when there is no pressure, on you to score at 12 runs or 13 runs per over. So these are the games which keep them going, which get them going. So I felt they missed a trick by not sending him up. Probably it could have gotten Rahul Tivatia going, but I think at the end of the day, no complaints. They got the 2 points.
Yeah, you make a fair point, because it's also important to make sure that when you win, you try and win
Yeah.
as comfortably as possible to boost that net run rate of yours.
Yeah.
Azmatullah Omarzai was also available if
Yeah.
needed to come and finish the game for them, and he can get handy quick runs with the bat as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe a trick miss there. From the bowling front for SRH, Bhuvi once again doing the job at the top of the order. 4 overs for 27 continues to be economical. That's the hallmark of Bhuvaneshwar Kumar. Um, Apart from him, though, if you look at Pat Cummins's numbers, 4 overs for 28 with 1 wicket, he was well below the asking rate as well. But they're really going to struggle if they don't get the returns from those experienced Indian bowlers in the middle of the innings.
So Bhuvi, he had slightly poor games in last 2 matches. I think Mumbai Indians against in both teams, I think he went somewhere around 50 odd. But you cannot complain because he's your senior pro, and when the team concedes more than 200 runs, almost 250 runs, then you cannot really complain that somebody has conceded 45, 50 runs. So I think Bhuvi, it was an important game for Bhuvi to come back in form. He did well, 4 overs, 27 runs. It's a good return, and they probably expected a wicket or two from him, but it did not happen. But I think that's fine because I felt the target was a bit under par. So I think they shouldn't have any complaints from Bhuvi. And I think Jaydev Unadkar is somebody, I think he has played another game because Natarajan is not fit. So I think they will probably look to get him, Natarajan, back as soon as possible because, there are some, when Jaydev Unadkar, we know what are the kind of tricks that he will employ. So I think, once the batters are used to with what he would do, once they figure it out, then he becomes a bit predictable. We have seen this in the past. So I think that's one area, that's one change which they will probably look to do. Washington Sundar, like I said, they could have probably used his last over with 2 left-handers batting. And I think that Mayank Markande over, this third over, I think before this, his figures were looking good. He was 2 overs, 10 runs, 1 wicket. And then Pat Cummins trusted him with that over. And then in that over, I think they needed somewhere around 50 from 5 overs. And he bowled that 16th over. And in that over, I think the game got finished. Because he considered more than around 20 runs, 23 runs. I know that was the over, I think.
Yeah, Miller got stuck into him.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that was a trigger point for them, for GT. And I think that's where the game finished.
Yeah, they will need something more from Mayank Markande, because when you look around the other teams and what their spinners are doing, they just need their spinners to step up. I mean, Washington Sundar is an India prospect, so you would expect a bit more from him. And as well with Mayank Markande, who's been around 2 or 3 teams now in the IPL, knows the big stage and has played here. So obviously you want more from them. But you're right in saying they missed Natarajan, and when he's back, it should look as a better bowling unit overall. Well, that's the story from game number 1 on a Super Sunday. So we had 2 games today. I've already spoke to you about how confused I am about this game, and everything about this game, apart from the result, was confusing. As I mentioned earlier, Delhi playing in Vizag, and get this right, it was Delhi's home game. The crowd was completely yellow, which would make you feel that it was Chennai's home game. Chennai lost the game, but the crowd was happy. Delhi won the game. Delhi team were happy. So yeah, everybody left feeling nice and happy. It was a feel-good moment.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's have a look at what exactly panned out in the game. So we had the Capitals batting first, getting 191 for 5 in their 20 overs. The big news right at the top of the order, and we've been asking questions about this. Where is Prithvi Shaw? Well, we know now he is back where he belongs, at the top of the order, and immediately making a difference. 43 of 27 balls. And let me tell you, he'll be disappointed with that, because he will say he should have got 43 in about 17 balls. That's the kind of player that Prithvi Shaw is. But he is making a comeback of sorts. So he will be feeling his way back into the side. But great returns, great news for Delhi. and good to see him back.
Yes.
Warner, on the other hand, was going absolutely all guns blazing today. This is the David Warner that we know. 52 of 35. He started well, then he slowed down a bit, which is why that strike rate's showing the way it is.
Yeah.
And on the other hand, Rishabh Pant coming in at number three, who started slowly, but then really made up for it towards the end.
Yeah.
So you see that he's got his 51 of 32 with all those boundaries. Mitch Marsh dropping a number. I still like to see him at three and Rishabh at four probably. But that's for the Delhi Capitals to decide. Today they went the other way around, which kind of worked for them. At the end of the day, the great news for them was that they got
Yeah.
191 on the board, which was a good total on this wicket, which had a bit in it for everybody.
Everyone, yeah. So what I liked about this innings was Prithvi Shaw. He got going, but I think I saw Prithvi Shaw and Deepak Chahar's numbers. That matchup was there in favor of Deepak Chahar, and Deepak Chahar has dismissed Shaw 6 times since 2018, I think, and he has given away around 85 runs. So that comes about like a very handy number for Deepak Chahar, because if you're getting somebody out 6 times and giving away only less than 100 runs, then I think their average is pretty poor. So I think he had Prithvi Shaw's number before this game. So I felt they managed that starting pace really well. So in first over, Prithvi Shaw played 3 balls. On third delivery, he took one single and went off strike. Then in third over, Prithvi Shaw took a single on first ball, went off strike, and then David Warner batted for the rest of the five deliveries. Again in fifth over, Prithvi Shaw took single on the first ball, and then rest of the over by Deepak Chahar was played by David Warner. So out of those 18 deliveries inside that power play, only 5 were played by Prithvi Shaw. So I think they managed this spell from Deepak Chahar pretty well. I think that's where Prithvi Shaw survived at an initial phase. And when you're making a comeback, I think it's important to survive those first few overs. And when somebody like Deepak Chahar, and in this case, I mean it was completely against Shaw. So I think it was very important for him to survive that phase, and he did that. I think then once he got in, once Deepak Chahar was once he was not bowling, when somebody else came in, I think in the very next over, I think he scored quick boundaries. I think 3-4 boundaries, and I think that's what started. That's where the real comeback started for Shaw, and I think then he got going, and then we also could what happened after that.
Yeah, you pointed out very well. It's so important in cricket to realize what your strengths and what your weaknesses are, and for your partner to support you in that. So, as you rightly said, Prithvi Shaw taking a single, knowing that the matchup's not in his favor, getting to the other end while David Warner takes care of business. And then, when he has the matchups in his favor and the bowler that he likes facing comes back on strike and starts playing the big shots against there. So, cricketing smarts, used by Delhi to make sure. And it's good to see him back. It's good to see Pant in the runs because although he got a few scores in the last couple of games, it didn't anywhere look like the Rishabh Pant that we know. But today's innings, I think, will give him a lot of confidence.
Yes.
Augurs really well for Delhi moving forward. Captain scoring runs is always good for any team. And just gives him that confidence boost.
Yeah,
and
it's not just
brilliant.
about him scoring. It was also about him scoring runs against Pathirana, because Pathirana, if you see before that, he bowled those two beautiful Yorkers to Mitchell Marsh and Tristan Stubbs. So his tail was up. He was bowling quick. He was in his rhythm, and in that rhythm, Rishabh Pant actually managed to disrupt, and he changed the entire complexion of the game. That was the start, and that's what I think. That's where I felt Delhi Capitals, they got going, and in that particular phase, I think they must have felt that okay, now we are in that zone, and I think we can do it. We can go all the way. So I think that one particular over, I think that did the trick, and he was phenomenal. I mean, we have not seen a lot of batters hitting Pathirana like that, but Rishabh Pant was doing that, and he was looking like his old self. So very good signs for Delhi.
I know Mitchell Marsh is no Sachin Tendulkar, and I know Tristan Stubbs is no Rahul Dravid. But those two Yorkers from Pathirana, who's also not Shoaib Akhtar, just reminded you of that test match at the Eden Gardens where Shoaib Akhtar ran in, first got Rahul Dravid with a beautiful Yorker, and then followed that up with another one to Tendulkar. Just had that kind of feel to it. But as you rightly pointed out, it was very important for Pant to kind of quickly change the tide. and he did that by counter-attacking and getting to 191.
Yeah.
Um, for Chennai, the bowling card, as you can see, the lone standout for me, in fact, two standouts. I'm very impressed with Tushar Deshpande,
Yeah.
once again proving economical. What is happening with Tushar Deshpande?
So
I mean,
he's
he'd pick a lot of
actually,
wickets.
yeah, he's actually keeping Shardul Thakur out from that inning, from that 11. So I think he's doing a good job, bowling at good pace. He's constantly hitting in those 140s, early and mid 140s, and bowling, executing those plans well, bowling those wide yorkers, bowling those bouncers. I mean, he's doing everything. I mean, he's in his zone. I think this is the Tushar Deshpande. I think CSK would hope would continue, because last season he was going for runs. He was getting the wickets, but he was going for runs. Like you pointed out, he has gone for like 24 this game. Even in last game, I think he went for around 21 to 24, somewhere around that. So his economy is again looking good. And in fact, the bowler Mustafizur Rahman, we expect him to bowl those cutters and be economical. But I think he has gone for 47 runs. So that tells you how crucial was that spell from Tushar Deshpande.
Yeah, I mean, Tushar Deshpande of old would pick up a lot of wickets, but would go for a lot of runs.
Exactly.
I think what's changed now for him is that he is not going looking for wickets.
Yeah.
He is not being greedy. He's bowling a good line, a good length, at good pace, and just making sure that he keeps the runs down. He's not worried about picking up wickets because he knows that if he does his job at this end, it will build pressure, which will lead to wickets from the other end or his end or whatever. So yeah, those are good signs. Patirana again, as we've already spoken about him, good pace, good rhythm, really bowling well. I mean, apart from that one over
Yeah.
where Pant got stuck into him, bowling really well. As you can see, 31 for 3 in 4 overs in a 191 game. Brilliant figures for him. So that's as far as the bowling. Now, this run chase, let's come to this run chase. Probably one of the strangest innings that I have seen in a long, long time. Now, let's start right at the top there. Rachin Ravindra, who's been scoring boundaries and sixes for fun in this tournament, could not get bat on ball today. 2 from 12 deliveries and just didn't have any answers to Khalil Ahmed, was getting appreciable swing, movement, and bounce from the Vizag wicket with the new ball. Then you had Ajinkya Rahane, who looked his usual self. 45 from 30 balls is what you expect from Rahane 2.0, which he did. But apart from that, every other batter on this wicket struggled to get going. I mean, Daryl Mitchell, 34 of 26,
I
but
think
he
it was
never
more
looked like
about
he would.
it was more about that initial spell from Khalil Ahmed and Ishan Sharma. I mean, Ishan Sharma is a test match specialist. We all know when he starts moving that ball, very few have answers. So I think that first spell from Khalil Ahmed, he was constantly beating Rachin Ravindra's outside edge, and then that one in swinger to Ruturaj Gaikwad. And then once you lose to a couple of wickets, and Rachin Ravindra, he consumed he consumed 2 overs for his 2 runs. There were a lot of play and misses. In that over, I felt he had to go and look to do something. And during that phase, he got out. And then Rahane, I think he was the one who actually changed. Actually kept CSK in the run chase. And Daryl Mitchell had to come early because 2 wickets fell inside power play, and they were not going to send Shivam Dubey up. So that was one thing. So I think Daryl Mitchell, that's why he came up. Shivam Dubey then shifted down to number 5, where normally spinners bowl. But surprise, surprise, there were no spinners today. There was no Kuldeep Yadav. And Rishabh Pant said that Kuldeep he has a niggle. So I think that's we can say blessing in disguise that he did not play, because we all know we have, in fact, we know what Shivam Dubey is doing. But I will take you back to that World Cup, those World Cup matches, New Zealand versus India. We remember what Daryl Mitchell did to the Indian spinners. He was hammering them literally, and Kuldeep Yadav was one of those spinners. So I think it went pretty well for Delhi Capitals that Kuldeep Yadav did not play today, so they could go with proper 4 seamers, and then Mitchell Marsh was their 5th option who could bowl seam. So I think that everything went in their favor, and Akshay Patel bowled those two bowled a few tight overs, but I think overall that composition of that bowling attack, I think it worked in their favor.
I think when Rahane and Mitchell stitched up a partnership, they were kind of in the game.
Yeah.
But as soon as that wicket fell, and then Shivam Dube couldn't get going. I mean, 18 of 17 in a
Yeah.
192 run chase
Yeah.
is always going to get you in trouble
Exactly.
when you're the chasing side.
Yeah.
So as soon as that wicket fell and Dube couldn't get going immediately, then Rizvi came in, he fell, and then when Jadeja came in and could not get going at all,
Yeah. Yeah.
that kind of the game was over a lot before that 20th over
Yeah.
because they were not in the game for the last almost maybe 4 overs or
Yeah,
so.
yeah, around 5 to 6 overs, I think you would say, because required run rate was almost 13, 12, 13, 14. I think it went beyond that.
Yeah. Now, one of the talking points, highlights of the game, the first entrance of Mahendra Singh Dhoni with the bat in the series, comes out to bat. The crowd's going absolutely nuts, screaming his name down, shouting his name down. What does he do? Is first ball plays a nice little pull, which goes to the boundary. The crowd goes berserk. 2 balls later, he's driving one through the covers, which goes to the boundary like a tracer bullet. I mean, how do you explain this phenomenon of Mahendra Singh Dhoni? You cannot script this any better. Just continues to, put us in awe of him. And the legend of Dhoni just keeps growing bigger and bigger and bigger. I mean,
He
he's
has been,
not played any cricket
yeah, but he has
since the
been
last
practicing
IPL.
for this. He has been practicing for this. So whenever you see his practice videos, he is actually looking to hit six from ball number one. So I think in last few years his role has changed. He is now looking to be that impact maker. He'll go after bowlers from ball number. I think he's almost 43 now, but he's still able to do that. I think at this age, after we have seen him with that knee injury, then he went with the surgery, then now he's again coming back, and I think these things are not easy. I think, but the way he's doing it, I think everyone must feel that okay, even I can do that, but it's not that easy. Not everyone can do that. Only special. There are very few special people who can do that, and Dhoni is one of those guys. I mean, one of the fastest bowlers, Nokia, he smashed him. I mean, I could not believe what was happening. And we have seen Dhoni doing that, the same thing to Mark Wood as well last season. I think now he has done it to Enric Nokia. So I think, he has that magical touch. Nobody can explain how, nobody can explain why. Nobody knows how it happens. So, so I think, that's an enigma. The Dhoni, like the timeless MS Dhoni. And I think you rightly pointed out at the beginning that everyone was happy that MS got runs, Delhi Capitals won, so their home crowd, everyone was eventually end of the day, everyone must have felt okay. It was a good game.
Yeah, I mean, 7 boundaries. So 4 boundaries and 3 sixes
Yeah,
in 16 balls. So 7 out of 16 balls have gone to the fence.
yeah,
Is he making a case now to kind of be playing slightly higher in that order? Because if you see, Samir Rizvi is very young, very inexperienced.
yeah,
And yes, he had a good start, but he's not yet kind of established his credentials. Jadeja has been struggling for a while, hasn't he, in
yeah.
white ball cricket? I mean, yes, he won them the last final in Ahmedabad, but we don't see him very often coming and going hammer and tongs in those last overs. So, is there a
Yeah,
case of maybe MS
probably.
Dhoni looking at batting after Shivam Dube?
Probably he should look to bat at number six at least. If not number eight is I think too low for him. The kind of hitting form is in right now, I think number six or number seven. I don't think he should go below that because if he plays an innings like this, that could become the match-winning innings for his team. So I think, yeah, like you rightly pointed out, 6 or 7, not beyond that.
Okay, cool. Now let's look at what the Capitals did with the ball. Now look at those figures for Khalil Ahmed. That opening spell of his was absolutely pinpoint accurate. 21 for 2 in 4 overs. And that too because he had to bowl an over at the end. But apart from that, his figures are absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah.
Ishant Sharma, 3 overs for 23 in a 192 run chase. Brilliant at the top again. Nokia still getting the tap, but that's because Mahendra Singh Dhoni got stuck into him towards the end. Aksar Patel, brilliant and economical as ever. 1 for 20 in 3 overs. A new name there, Rasik Salam,
Yeah.
being introduced. I think he has played some games before, but obviously not the best of outings today. Mitch Marsh, the solitary over, and the surprise package right at the bottom there, Mukesh Kumar. three wickets for 21 of his 3 overs. All in all, just a complete performance where everybody came in and executed their plans. I was watching the field setting was pinpoint
Yeah.
accurate for the wide Yorkers that they were bowling, and that meant the batsers had no options but to play those strokes. Just when it comes off, it looks brilliant, doesn't it? And it came off for Delhi today.
I mean, that's the. I think I'll give a lot of credit to Rishabh Pant and his captaincy today. Those field settings, those bowling changes. We felt Mukesh Kumar was introduced a bit later in the game. I felt it was too late, but I think that later was also a good one. It was a good tactical move. I felt after that. So I think I mean, it was everything went well for Rishabh Pant with the bat, with his captaincy, with tactical. All the he covered all the angles well in this game.
And going back to that point, when he gets runs with the bat and he makes an impact with the bat, obviously the confidence is high,
Yeah.
and you become such a more confident captain in the field, which was there for all of us to see.
Right.
Well, the win now makes Delhi have got 2 points,
Yes.
and they're off. Their campaign is off, which means the only team now to have not won a game in IPL 2024 is
Yeah.
right at the bottom. You can see Mumbai Indians.
They will play
Um,
tomorrow. No pressure.
yeah, they will play tomorrow. But nobody would have predicted this, would they? Like at the start of the IPL, if you had to say that at the end of the 12th game, there will be one team who wouldn't have won a game, nobody would have put that team to be Mumbai Indians.
That's the kind of season I think. Normally they are slow starters, but I think they have a lot of other issues as well this time around. So they will hope that those issues would be sorted out in time, and they will hope that it's not too late for them to make that comeback, which they normally do. So I think tomorrow's game is critical. In till now, in all the games we have seen that home teams have won except for one match, RCB and KKR. So tomorrow is a home match for Mumbai. They will hope that they will look to continue the trend.
But today's loss has dislodged Chennai from the top place. They
Yeah.
are in second place behind KKR now.
Yeah.
And today's win has boosted Delhi to number 7 from number 10, which means they've got their campaign underway. We also
Yes.
saw the game between SRH, um, who lost today, which means they've on 5th place now, and Gujarat in 4th place, just above them.
Right.
Well, that brings us to the end of another episode of the Snickometer podcast. We love bringing these to you. As always, we'd love for you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We'd love for you to follow us on Twitter, on Instagram, and all the other social media handles, as you can see. Give us feedback, comment, like, share, do everything you can to help us. And we will keep bringing more and more good analysis of IPL 2024 to you.